बाकी का 5 मिनट लगेगा ये हमारे चैनल पे ठीक डायलॉग हुआ है 9th के सब कुछ है इसमें तो जो 9th में पढ़ा है वो यहीं का हक है अगर 9th में पढ़ा इससे पढ़ा इसको कुछ पढ़ा नहीं पड़ेगा तो ये एक तूने क्यों लिखा तूने दो पीरियड हो गए एक और वो एक हम बैठना एक काम में मैं मेरे छोटे से आप कैसे रखते हैं का छोटे रखते हैं आपके बी का कैसे हो लेता है आप समझ जा रहे आज हम लोग फोटो शूट था मेरा मस्त में मेरा फोटो आया इतने मैं ऐसी खड़ी हूँ वो ऐसा खड़ा वो मेरे को ऐसा बैक सकते हैं कमर में पकड़ आजकल के बच्चे कैसे मेरा बच्चा मेरे बेस्ट फ्रेंड खड़ा है अरे काउंसलिंग में कुछ भी नहीं मेरा पढ़ाई हो रही कुछ भी नहीं हुआ मेरा उल्टा पढ़ाई कर रही चटपटा अपना क्या I was looking like queen.
Okay, reduce the cost. Let us quickly jump into the topic. But complete. Reducing national vegetation. Hey guys, today also in the ending 15 minutes, not ending 15 minutes, sorry for that, but last 15 minutes, we will do a chapter called natural vegetation. And if you want the chapter detailed notes of findings, you let me know. Because in other branches I've given a detailed note. I can get that same notes for you. Either you copy down or understand? Since you are asking. What's it? Which chapter notes you want? Detailed. President and Vice President. Now I can give the same notes, but it will be
Prime Minister
okay. Prime Minister too कौन सा है?
Prime Minister also.
अच्छा, Prime Minister also. Okay. So civics 2 chapters and geography 1 chapter. You want a complete set of notes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. So write down the next heading. Did we do oil seeds just check pulses? But pulses is there. Are you sure? Okay, put the heading pulses in your notebook. I don't think I have it in the version. Now all the 3 come here. Because I need to put a watchtower behind of you guys. Wait a minute. Take in for a change. No problem. I'll shift it to that one. Come forward. Come forward. I'm giving respectfully the deal. No problem. In fact, we used to fight for the first bench in our school days. And you guys ran for the last bench. Right up. All the 3, I suppose. India is the pulses. India is the leading producer of. कोई बाहर अंदर नहीं जो जैसा है हाँ keep moving ठीक है नहीं move it. India is the leading producer and consumer of. India is the leading producer and consumer of. India is the leading. Abhi and companies on a watch. Let me see what is it. India is the leading producer and consumer of pulses in the world. Second point. India is the leading producer and consumer of pulses in the world. Which page it is? It's 166. Okay. Second point. Majority of the population. Majority of the Indian population hyphen vegetarian diet. Majority of the population vegetarian diet, comma, pulses play an important role. Pulses play an important role as a rich source of protein. Rich majority of the Indian population hyphen vegetarian diet. Pulses play an important role hyphen rich source of protein. Other point. Sorry, next point. These are leguminous plants. These are leguminous plant. You understand leguminous? Huh? Want the spelling? Helps in nitrogen fixation. Helps in nitrogen fixation. Soil renewal process. Soil renewal process. Soil nutrient. Soil nutrient renewal process. Soil nutrient renewal process. Next point. Whatever it is. Next. Climatic conditions. Overall temperature of requires overall temperature of 20-25 degrees Celsius. 20-25 degrees Celsius with 50 to 70 centimeters of rainfall. 50 to 75 centimeters of rainfall. 50 to 75 centimeters of rainfall. Next. Major types of pulses. Hyphen. What is that? Hindi, what do you call it? Tool, is it? T-U-R. Tool. Sorry. Then moong. M-O-O-N-G. That is also yellow in color. Huh? Then masoor. M-S-U-R. Comma. Matar. M-A-T-A-R. They have given English word, you write it. Because anyway, our teachers only going to correct. Suddenly मैंने English word दिया उसने हिंदी word भी भूल गया थोड़ा उल्टा पुल्टा etc. It grows well in next one. It grows well in dry, light soil. It grows well in dry, light soil. L-I-G-H-T. Anyone left unsigning? Dry, light soil with medium fertility. With medium fertility. Next. Pulses occupy 2/5 of the total crop area. I'll explain in it. 2/5 of the total crop area. Next, of the total crop area. In India, next point. Pulses occupy 11%. Double one. In the states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, UP, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh. Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh, pulses are grown extensive. Andhra Pradesh. Pulses are grown extensive. Are grown extensively. Now you look into that volume or the textbook as well as the notes to tell me where it is left. Anyway, I'm going to explain what are pulses in detail. Is there any line you want me to add it into your answer? Yeah, before I I was given geography, in the history, whatever portion that I have completed, any chapter left in half, in between, that is only left. And in civics, how many chapters personally I have taught you? Up till that, I have completed that. Nowadays, a new teacher is also continued
She completed Supreme Court and
President and Vice President. Prime Minister नहीं किया.
Sir, President किया है, Prime Minister ने किया. Sir, now I'm the history teacher. She is from India. Supreme.
Prime Minister कौन करता है? Because two teachers in between, suddenly one is left for nobody. That's I don't know. Let you only go up, sign and give it and come back. Coolly. Guys. Okay.
You are only going to reach history.
No. You got a new teacher. Now when I use the word pulses, give it to her. She is given the duty to go. Obviously, yeah, if you are not well, leave it. I'll ask the page. Sit down. Your page should be. Now look here. I said pulses for you and me, nothing. But for an average Indian family, 2 to 3 kg of pulses, especially fruit is given free of charge. Under the system, but what do we call it in geography? PDS. What is PDS stands for you?
Public distribution system.
Is correct. Public distribution system. We have two branches. One is that fair price shops, and other is a ration shop. I think we city people, if I ask you where is the ration shop, you might be putting a big question mark. Please go. Because parents neither go nor you want to go. Correct? We get it normally from the retailer or a nearby grocery shop. You go to any part of the Indian villages, the ration shop is very important. I mean, what are pulses for? We say it is a rich protein diet. Do you accept? Although we might go for non-veg, but every week or every month, maybe occasionally. But every day, protein, especially for growing children like you. Although you might get some all ready-made shakes and other things, what you guys bring, whatever they say, sorry to say, it's a big question mark. Whatever it is you eat, the basic food is simple. So simple kind of a dal in every person house you might be having it. So what has happened to this dal and other system? Normally today, people do not go for certain commodities which they get it in vegetarian. They quickly get into non-veg, which you might get like fish, like we have this egg and little bit of chicken and other thing, you'll get a lot of protein. But if it is an average Indian family, a protein diet. So what is this? Pulses. Then besides this protein, if you remember that nitrogen fixing bacteria, what is the name of that bacteria? Rhizobium azotobacter. Your biology teacher might be telling you correctly. So that is that bacteria which atmospheric oxygen fixes into the soil, and that can help in between two major crops. Which crop? In between rice and in between wheat, what do they go for? They go for this leguminous plant. What is the word legumin? Actually, it is the roots where you get it, and these are the roots which are absorbing nitrogen from the atmosphere. And besides these, India, as I've already told you, is a leading producer and consumer. Do you accept that we are leading consumer? Because at least 2 times a day, we need to have any particular curry which is made out of 1 pulses at least. I think growing children generally, besides that tur and moon, and there is one green gram, is it? You boil it in the morning, you take it for your tiffins, whatever you tell it to a mother with a little bit of salt and maybe grated coconut, that is the best protein you can have. instead of having a burger, what is that, sandwich or anything, you do it at least for next few months, you will feel that your body energy is increasing. Then we have this chanas also. Have you seen? Not that white color big one, that is hybrid variety. The normal one, that itself is also good. I remember the entire Ganesh Utsav festival. We used to run from one pandal to another only to collect that one. अगर गलती से लड्डू मिल जाता तो और भी बढ़िया. One of the chanas, every pandal will have it. So normally we associate every pulses with some or the other dishes, but it is to basically tell you that India consumes pulses on a large scale. There have been a time when due to some floods and the dry areas, these pulses have come down. So India had imported pulses also. So that much amount of importance to this crop is attached. Now, can you tell me economically, is it fruitful for the farmers to go for pulses? Economically, for the farmers?
No, sir.
Perfect. No.
Sorry, it is most of the population consumes pulses every day.
I'll say from 2 points of view. Definitely, it is highly profit. Second, it doesn't have the requirement like a rice and a wheat. Right? No big flowing, no big water facilities. If you look at how much water, hardly 50 to 75 centimeters. Even you can grow using your well water also. अगर आपके पास well, tube कुछ भी उससे भी. And the good thing, it doesn't take months. Maybe hardly 6 weeks, hardly 5 weeks, or sometimes it goes to 7 or 8 weeks. You will get your produce. And to be very frank, we have a body called FCI. What does FCI stands for? Wonderful. It is Food Corporation of India. What does it mean? It procures. You know what is the meaning of procures? It buys all the needed food grains from the farmers and holds it into the warehouse, from where we get our PDS. What is PDS? That he has already told. So in India, we have a very good PDS system, which not only procures the food grains, but effectively distributes. The one that I'm going to give the news is not of food grains, but it is a country called America. Recently, America has been warned by WHO the number of polio cases in American childs are increasing. Are you understanding polio is what? Whereas India got polio-free certificate in the year 2013 and 14. All thanks to that pulse polio immunization. Now, can I say America is a fully developed country then? When this vaccine was invented, especially this corona, we have that big fellow called Adar Poonawalla from that is Serum Institute of Pune. 99% of the developed countries or India will take at least 15 years to vaccinate all the people for corona. 15 years, because our population is huge. Correct? But hardly how many years? Within 2 years, India has vaccinated more than 90% of the population, at least one dose. London, that is Great Britain, the ceremony is still on. Edinburgh, the great lady is on her last voyage. We do not know how great she is. But then she was respected, the longest serving queen. But the Indian news channels were forecasting, Kohinoor India में आएगा क्या? वो आएगा नहीं आएगा, तो उसके बाद पहला वो बुढ़िया को लेके जाएगा क्या? उधर लेके जाएगा, sorry, because that's the tradition. I can tell you the whole history of this Kohinoor. Nobody could demand what might be the actual cost of the Kohinoor. It has been way back, I don't know which century. It was brought out from Golconda, that is in Karnataka. Then it went to which king? Finally, it went to Mughals. Finally, it went to the Peshawar king also. So there, these was gifted. Until today, people say this diamond cannot be valued. Some people say 200 billion. Some people say 500. Its actual value is not. But it is beautifully in the crown of that British queen. But then we say this was India. And then what India was perished into? Just a country of starvation, just a country of hunger. But again, within 75 years, India has in a pace, maybe future India might put a demand to bring that Kohinoor back to India. Whether we get Kohinoor or not, but at least we should get pulses to all the population. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So we always believe in one thing, that Indian farmer has become not only national or regional, but he has cautious into international. Any country, whether it is Pakistan, Bangladesh, Burma, Bhutan, if they suffer from flood, अभी तक इंडिया ने कुछ dose नहीं दिया है पाकिस्तान को the recent flood, but definitely India gives a big package of rice, wheat and pulses. First thing, medicines, nurses, even injections. So India ने किया. So that corona vaccine, India has given to specifically 87 countries free of cost. For which China was the big D factor, बोलेंगे कि मेरा business पूरा ठप हो गया. They forcefully injected their own Sinovac vaccine in some African population. बहुत लोगों ने बोला उसको कोरोना नहीं था, but vaccine लेने का 15 दिन के बाद वो मर गए. So that was an experiment done by China, not on their citizens but on Africans. So why I'm saying India and China are close competitors wherever we go with agricultural production. So if you have known about China, they say Shanghai and little bit of that Beijing and other part are highly cities. But 90% of the China is even today agriculture only. It is a food package or it is the subsidies that Chinese government give to the farmers. They are ready to sell their product even half the price what India is quoting. समझ में आ रहा है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? That is why the Chinese agricultural products are in international demand. Because अगर India 10 rupees बोलेगा, China 2 रुपए में भी बेचेगा. Because उतना subsidies उस government से मिलता है. So we have our Hindi slogan. China का माल सस्ते में और सस्ते में, है ना? And what is that culture we have developed from China? Use and throw culture. What is that word use and throw? एक बार आपका मोबाइल या टीवी कुछ रिपेयर हो गया, थ्रो कर दो, क्योंकि अगर आप रिपेयर करने के लिए जाएगा उसका 3 गुना ज्यादा जाएगा. It's like you go to any Middle East or European countries, when any big channel or TV gets disrupted, they don't work like your parents and my parents, even me also. They will keep it in the square of the house. It might be a 50-inch big LED TV. और हमारे कुछ इंडियन जो काम करने गए वो तुरंत उसको लेके जाके अपने घर पर रखते हैं. And then he brings nicely packed and everything, little bit of repair as if he has purchased it. No, the foreign culture is totally different. So we always believe India and China are always a close competitor, especially with which production? Agricultural production, but India has its own sizable demand, at least in food crops. Is it okay? So any of the line from your textbook for pulses, you need me to explain. Then you put the next heading in your notebook, the fourth topic of agriculture. Am I correct? So right under cash crops, the first one is I think sugarcane, and second is jute, oilseeds. I'll discuss this, then we will write sugarcane. Now look here. When I use the word sugarcane, there are 3 methods normally. We say seeding method, then we call setting method. It's all there in the volume and textbook. And the last and the most important method for growing is called ratoon cropping. Anybody at least in schools done, and you can tell me 3 methods. Ratoon cropping. According to you, what is the importance of sugarcane to a farmer? It's a cash crop that you already used. What else? Large acres of land. It has 1+2 cropping, especially in Maharashtra, UP, Bihar, and now a new state which is added. Not now, it has been late. We call Tamil Nadu. Have you seen the sugarcane of Tamil Nadu? When they have a festival called Pongal, they have little bit of fatty and more juicier. But then they say sugarcane is a very important cash crop because it suits the Indian climate. So we say either it is tropical, or subtropical crop. Huge one with green leaves. That's what the British described when they saw sugarcane for the first time. As if we are describing an elephant by closing our eyes. How did that 4 blind people describe an elephant?
It's a wall because leg was stuck.
When he touched the leg part of the elephant, he said 4 pillars of the roof. Second, he touched that front, he said it's a big rope. Correct? And then 2 ears, they said that winnowing, we use it in the house for rice and wheat. When that elephant just put a puff of air into their eyes, that patti was removed, and that. So even today, this sugar cane, British people tell, it is the British who have introduced tea in India. It is the British who have introduced sugar cane. हमको लगता है हम लोग को अपना एलिफेंट की तरह उसके आग से पट्टी से निकलना पड़ेगा। भाई साहब आप आने से पहले टी was grown, especially in Assam. आप आने से पहले sugar cane भी grow होता था. But these people commercialize the sugar cane. These people commercialize the tea. How do you explain that word commercialization? Large scale use. If you remember the opium trade between India and China, what was opium trade? Britishers wanted Chinese tea. Their tea demand was high, but production was not good. So Indian farmers were forced to grow tea, for which the British exported tea to China and exported tea to China and got the opium. Opium narcotics. इतना ही समझ लो. आप लोग को वैरायटी क्या-क्या तो सीरीज में आता है वो सब सुनना. ना उसके आगे समझना. जो शाहरुख का जूनियर शाहरुख भाई साहब जो अंदर जाकर आया. Whatever, I don't know any variety, but इतना समझ लो narcotics में है. I heard this younger generation is closely and very, have a great affinity for that, but definitely be aware of it and try to be away from it. I don't know what it is. Aware and away, that's very good. So now we said about sugar cane. It is a tropical crop. It requires a long. उसके बारे में वीडियो कर दिखाऊं मैं बेटर है पक्का गुड at least उसने बोल्ड पूछा hey what is it regarding you want as a girl what is it you regarding you want that narcotics को क्या चीज़ है I am not a supplier of that I know right. Hey, enough. Be quiet. कौन सा कौन सा कौन सा Hey, now there is a problem with the volume here. Hey, who is a taller boy can come and do some और यहाँ से but उतना दूर जाएगा तेरे से उतना दूर right hand or left hand corner bring it down slowly
It will not come down because the wire is there.
Sir,
What you have to do, sir?
You have to push that button. You see volume button up and down. There's one up.
So this is not चालू ही नहीं है इसलिए तो.
अभी
आगे there is.
Do it now. Volume button.
Sorry, on.
On here. Leave it. Thank you. Understand.
Criticism according to
This is not that video which I had seen.
opium, etc.
Sir, it's okay if we don't show, sir.
Because these guys are asking me.
Sir, don't show, sir.
Don't show it.
Sir, no, sir.
Wait. Now these are some things which.
Sir, green revolution.
Wait, I'll put a different one. ये मैंने उधर का.
It's okay.
ये बट वो उसका नाम है डोपिंग वो सब चल रहा है समझेगा.
जनता ने रोष
It's a 10 video. Hopefully it's educational.
Most people will take a pill, receive an injection, or otherwise take some kind of medicine during their lives. But most of us don't know anything about how these substances actually work. How can various compounds impact the way we physically feel, think, and even behave? For the most part, this depends on how a drug alters the communication between
How it
cells
affects
in
the
the brain.
brain cells. That's
There are
what
a
they
number of
should
different ways that can happen. But before it gets into the brain, any drug must first reach the bloodstream on a journey that can take anywhere from seconds to hours, depending on factors like how it's administered. The slowest method is to take a drug orally, because it must be absorbed by our digestive system before it takes effect. Inhaling a drug gets it into the bloodstream faster, and injecting a drug intravenously works
वो भी है but life saving drugs अलग होता है. Wait. Green revolution you wanted.
Sir, it's like the one
एक काम करते हैं. Let's proceed with the chapter when I'm free once I'll show. Come on. Write down sugar cane in your notebook. Yeah, right on. A tall tropical or subtropical crop. A tall tropical or subtropical plant. Tropical or subtropical plant. Thank you. You want me to come here? Yes. With large acres of cultivated land. Large acres of cultivated land under sugarcane cultivation. Under sugarcane cultivation. Second point. It is the fourth largest. It is the fourth largest crop grown on commercial lines. Grown on commercial lines. India is just next to lines. Next one. Next to Brazil. India is just next to Brazil in total production of sugarcane. Are you right? Climatic conditions. Production of sugarcane. Point number one, climatic condition. It's a long-standing crop, sugarcane, long-standing crop, 10 to 18, 10 to 18 months requires temperature, 18, requires 20-26 degree temperature. 26-degree temperature. Second point, and I'll be waiting. For its growth rate. Short, cool, dry winter. Beneficial for its ripening. क्या हो गया? I'm very fresh to slept for a while. Yeah, the school's timing and the lecture timings are not any. Because some schools might be all. What time generally you come back from your home? 3:40, and you are lunch and have a dose and everything. Because I remember certain parents keep not complaining. कि बच्चा दोनों साइड पे जाता है मैं बोला तो दोनों जगह पर मत देते बट क्या करें सिंस इट इज ऑफलाइन स्कूल ट्राई टू किसी को तो मैंने बोला टाइम टेबल बना के दो भाई बोल some parents were really some kids are really yeah what we are talking and what you guys are doing and what I was talking नहीं मैं तो अगर शुगर के बारे में बोल okay you ask any did we talk about sugar cane only इसके कान बचता है वो गलती से सुन गए कि वो अपना दोस्त को कैसे वो नाराज कर सकते उसने हाँ that is the right thing right cool dry winter beneficial for ripening and harvesting. I'll explain this. What is this cool dry winter? Next, ripening. Next, frost is highly dangerous. Frost is highly dangerous during its maturing period or during its final maturing period. वही बताऊंगा. I think if you have traveled around Maharashtra, at least you might have seen sugarcane farms there. Sugarcane farms are as yielding like that of rice and wheat. The good thing about sugarcane, especially if I explain you what is raccoon, if you have seen that tall plant, correct, and the leaf like grass, they cut it not exactly close to the ground, little bit 3 to 4 inches. And this part is called as a raccoon, correct? This is a raccoon. I'll show you a video which is close to that raccoon only. A good thing about raccooning, the next first cropping and the next 2 cropping doesn't need the agricultural plowing. Correct? You understand what is plowing? Once rice is cut or wheat is cut, anyway the soil has to be turned. And then you have to wait for a few weeks. But the good thing about raccooning, where is it? That no need of plowing. So what it is going to save? The most important is time, the money, and the energy of the farmers. ये तो हुआ उसका cutting. Once it is cut, minimum 48 hours, it should reach the sugar mills. Now the question is why? After it is cut, it is going to lead to the drying of the which contours? Sucrose content. As far as Indian railways, पहले railways से ज़्यादा होता था, was considered to be the delaying time. But now what the government have done, majority of the sugar mills are located within the sugarcane growing region. Normally by trucks, and मेरे ख्याल से trucks उतना problem नहीं है. At least Indian railways, especially the passenger trains. Correct. Now I think India is very glorious, saying that we are not only having passenger trains on time, we are having the shortest traveling distance, the longest train also. Are you understanding? Last class I was explaining transport to the other ICSC batch. I was telling more about that train called Tejas. Anyone have traveled by that? It is as good as a flight on the tracks because we have a 7-inch or 9-inch TFT screen. The seats are as luxury like that of a flight. The problem, it is managed by private. So the fares are a little bit higher than the normal trains. But I think we transferred CSTM to Madgaon, some part of Goa. Now they have started all over India. Like we have it in South also. From Kerala also I've seen 1 Tejas and from Tamil Nadu also. Means what? Indian Railways are prime transporter of this one. But अभी government ने क्या कर दिया? Ratooning has been made so popular. The first method, it is called which method? That I will put it here. The second method, 90% of the farmers will follow which method? Ratooning. अभी set method क्या है? Normally they cut the one part of the sugarcane and they plant it on the horizontal rows. What does it mean? Already the set is there, automatically it picks up with some green leaves. The problem of this crop is 9 to 10 months in the maturity time. ये इसके लिए problem भी हो जाता है. How? If I want to grow one other crop next to sugarcane, do I have the time? Why not? Yeah, अभी मुझे sugarcane की जगह पर rice डालना है. Is it possible? It itself will take 9 months. Maybe cutting, clearing, maybe one more month. तो पूरा एक 12 महीना हो जाता है. So normally 90% of the sugarcane farmer they do only sugar because of its long maturing season. अब ये frost क्या करेगा? When the sugarcane is getting ready, if the frost gets dampened in the leaves, it's easy for the rotting of the roots as well as of the plant itself. You understand what is frost is it, na? जब भी अभी ये मकर संक्रांति आएगा, I don't know that will be Jan 14. Try observing the price of the sugarcane. Especially, I remember getting the South Indian sugarcane, 150 rupees one sugarcane. वो भी मिलेगा नहीं. You have to go and find in some part of Chembur area. मेरे में तो अभी ये केरला का शॉप खोला है इधर. पहले तो वो भी नहीं था. Means that much is the demand. If not, what is the other products we manufacture? Once we we produce sugar. Second, we make jaggery. Third, we make that kansari, white color substance, mishri in India or Bengali they call it. And then we have molasses. Molasses is mainly for ethyl alcohol, industrial use. And they say there is something called press mud. So now press mud, shoe polish may use of that. And the last and the most important, we say that the unwanted part of the sugarcane. What it is? What do you call it in English? Bakse. Or some people say bagasse also, that waste, that sugar cane. Earlier it is used in thermal plant, but now they manufacture paper. So how good is this sugar cane, at least for the Indian? And the price of the sugar, you might be knowing, directly proportional to the profit they get in the sugar cane. No doubt, Maharashtra sugarcane farmers get a huge chunk of income. One from cotton, that I will be explaining later. Second from sugar. They do rice and wheat, but उनको सबसे ज़्यादा पैसा sugarcane से ही मिलता है. And I think that Pune, Baramati area, the Don's Den, who's the Don's Den? Baramati से कौन आता है? He owns more than 100 to 200 sugar lobbies in his hand. You understand lobby? जो business houses है. So they say Maharashtra is one of the leading producers, but now there are many. Bihar है, UP है, Tamil Nadu है, Andhra Pradesh है. In fact, उनको जब मालूम पड़ा इसका इतना importance है, they also start. अभी इतना हम लोग sugar बनाता है, but we say we still import sugar on a large scale. Why is it so? The domestic consumption is very high. No doubt, the highest sugar patients are found in India. Correct? I remember WHO when they first time brought that tablets. Anti-diabetes, they tried that tablets in India only because the number of patients are high. And then one more oil-6 padana मैं अभी बोल देता हूँ. They say heart attack patients are maximum in India, and that also 40 plus होते हैं. Heart attack का ज़्यादा chances है. Don't tell me that you are watching the right. अभी नहीं चला. And then very quickly, they say it is the gen section who gets heart attack. The lady sections are very happy for that. Correct? We always see oil seeds in India, it is as good as any European saying they consume 12 months, 12 months, not 1 month, only 1 liter of cooking oil. आप लोग के घर में कभी ये चैलेंज हम लोग रख सकते हैं? सर 1 लीटर एक साल में 15 दिन क्या? 15 दिन में हम लोग 4 लीटर भी यूज करेगा फिर भी खत्म. So we are inviting the doctors into my house by the food that we consume. Sorry, every Indian family loves it, and we love it, but we say the food that we eat should be the medicine, should not become the poison. So I think some people don't just mind me, बार-बार बोलता हूँ. They use this parachute oil for cooking. You might be laughing at sir, but then doctors have proved if you use coconut oil for cooking, that is the best. But suddenly, एक लड़की ने मुझे उधर पूछा, what is that foreign imported oil comes to India? Olive oil. I remember when we have this beautiful salads, falafel करके एक international brand है, falafels. They charge $3 to $5 for the best, and they in front of us only they pour that costly oil. But अभी मैंने कुछ फैमिली में सुना नाम हम लोग वही खाता है. बोले कितना महीना खाएगा वो आप देखते हैं. Because we have come back to groundnut oil, we have to come back to sunflower oil. जो हमारा बजट में बैठता है ना, then only we can consume in a month 15 liters. क्योंकि हमको आज दो दिन में भजिया या समोसा या कुछ याद आता है. So oil seeds when I'm going to teach again, India is the leading producer and consumer of oil. Okay, it's like for sugar cane. Write down the next point. It requires high supply or high quantity of water. It requires high quantity of water. Bracket में डाल दो. Continuous standing water. Field में रहना ही चाहिए. High supply of water. Inside the bracket you write continuous standing water. Don't search it, right? Keep writing. Continuous standing water. So rainfall. Close the bracket. So rainfall 100 to 150 centimeters, well distributed. Rainfall 100 to 150 centimeters, well distributed. Next point, 150. Well distributed. Next point. Sugarcane requires well drained, rich alluvial. Well drained, rich alluvial, loamy. Loamy, loamy or lava soil. Next. Heavy supply or heavy dose of manures and nitrogenous fertilizers. Manures and nitrogenous fertilizers. Hyphen. High fertility consumption. Soil fertility. Yeah? High soil fertility consumption. High soil fertility consumption. By the sugarcane. That's why they keep closing it. Then methods of cultivation. I'll ask you guys to write. I'll explain. You write number 1, sowing. Try to get 2 points from the volume. Then set Rachuni. Then we'll get into advantages and disadvantages. Come on. First you write seeding, setting, and rachun cropping. Two lines. Is not there? Oh, correct. So, same. क्या हो गया? She is watery eyes. Not well. बाद में इसका behavior से भी आता है. Carry on. Methods of cultivation copy from the volume. The textbook, sorry. Textual volume. Once you finish, I will be explaining. Don't talk and just waste the time. The next geography test for UT will be agriculture. I'm already asked them to do the test. That will be in the 18th of this month. Okay, coming 18th. So this Sunday. Not this Sunday. Yes, this Sunday. So will you be able to write without any problem? All the 3 chapters. First video, agriculture will be come in one lot. Yes, sir. 18th को मैं अभी cross check करता हूँ. 18 को है तो are you guys okay? My dear listen. When there is a volume test for agriculture, I can't separate 1 and 2, 3 and 4 like that. It comes in one by one.
Sir, 19th से exam.
You are not. ठीक है मैं बोल देता हूँ. But आप लोग का इतना डिमांड है फिर उतना कंप्लेंट्स भी जाता है डिपार्टमेंट में क्या तो बैलेंस करेंगे. ये नहीं चाहिए वो नहीं चाहिए अभी नहीं चाहिए. How many guys are having 19 days exam? 19 से. तो क्या 18 को क्या कर रहा है? Sundays you are not going to come. ठीक है, I'll ask them to postpone. Let it reflect on your demand only they will do it, not I'm going to say.
But today there is a message on the motion for test dated 18th March.
I don't know. Then वो आगे पीछे होगा. But मुझे as far as my subject I have told कि 18 तक मेरा agriculture हो जाएगा and my students will be ready to write. ठीक है. You got a ready excuse and say 19. Which school it is? The exam. हाँ भी बोला. एवना आप लोग जाओ. Dance on her head so that she automatically. And admits before the date. Come on. Every lecture you three guys will be here. क्या है? So beautifully. क्या करके है? शहर. मेरा काम में क्या सुना बोलूं? हेयर बात होता है. शहर. It's a what is it in Persian Arabic? And I know. Sunday. Sugar cane. Sowing, setting, cutting. Separation till it goes to the mills. Like cotton का भी मैं वैसे labor intensive crop. Oh guys, enough. Right up. Shall लिखा भी क्या? लिखो. Where is your notebook first of all? Hiding somewhere down. और उसको ऊपर रखो. इतना बड़ा bench है. What is that sense of attraction going on? You are the in between, ना तो attraction is from you. Separate them. या आप दोनों के बीच में रोड़ा बन के बैठा है. आप हट जाओ. ये देखो आज वहां जब तक बैठेगा इनका भी वैसे प्लान था. आज जरा सेपरेशन हो गया. एक्ट कर. एटलीस्ट इनको एक्टिंग आता है मुझे आज मालूम पड़ा. तो नेक्स्ट वीक you 3 will be here. मैं कुछ नहीं पढ़ने का एक्टिंग कर रहा हूँ. चलो. Everything they are worried except for the studies. So although if it reflects in the your test schedule, whatever is the site they say, you normally tell them कि हमारा 18, 19 is our math paper, so we won't be in a position to clear. So let it be reflected. Why does like this girls behavior only I've seen? Because ये बैग वगैरह ऐसा डाल के next time से लेकर आओ. उसको क्या बोलते हैं लोग हिंदी में? शॉल बोलते हैं ना. वो लेकर आके डालते हैं. बैग को पीछे रखना. हाँ? क्वेश्चन और किधर डालते हैं बैठने के. Wrong calculation, my boy. It's okay. थोड़ा सा behavioral changes observe करो. Maybe by the end of academy, costume change भी ना दिखे. ये तीनों को बहुत समझना है. क्या है? He's writing sugar cane. Right. The next study. Quick. Let's proceed. इसका volume करते हैं. Okay, let us finish at least sugar cane. इसके बाद क्या है? Oil seed है. इसके बाद Oil seeds is there, na?
So yeah, oil seeds. Soybean plants.
Your behavior is like उधर भी देखा ऐसे बोल रहे हैं क्लासेस होता है क्यों तुम नहीं बोल सकते तुम्हारा सर्टिफिकेट रोक क्यों मार बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट में हमारे पापा का नाम है ना हाँ राइट ऑन द नेक्स्ट सेकंड बात करती है सर एडवांटेजेस पॉइंट नंबर 1 no need write down advantages highly labor saving advantage number 1 with the use of ratoon cropping. Did I explain ratoon cropping?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Highly labor saving with the use of ratoon method or ratoon cropping. Second, it is cheaper with high profits to the farmer. Cheaper method with high profits to the farmer. Next, ever increasing demand for sugar and jaggery. Ever increasing demand for sugar and jaggery. Increased profit percentage. समझ में आ रहा है? What is that? Increase in profit percentage. Next, शुगर का डिमांड ज्यादा है, शुगर केन से शुगर बनता है, जैसे जैसा प्राइस बढ़ता है फार्मर्स को अच्छा प्राइस मिलता है. और गुड. नेक्स्ट, शुगर केन acts as a major cash crop, especially in the states of UP, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. UP, Maharashtra and TN. Then go for disadvantages.
Sir, can you tell the states?
UP, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. Right, the next. High risk of, point number 1 disadvantage. High risk of disease and pest attacks. High risk of disease and pest attacks. Use of pesticides on a large scale.
High risk.
Pest and disease attacks. अभी शुगर केन के बीच में वो बात मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. रेडी टू आंसर. इसको है ना, I can't say that the entire class will laugh. When you are doing one activity, you remember that one. Suddenly, don't jump to the other. Right up. Next point: disadvantages. Use of high investment. Hyphen. Challenge to the marginal farmers. A challenge, है ना? A marginal farmer. That is a poor farmer. Next. Only sugarcane dedicated field. Only sugarcane dedicated field. Hyphen. Long maturing season. ये now 9 months जाता है ना?
Yes.
Long maturing season. Thank you. I'll see you in my next class. One or two people go and cut and sir, if at all the test is flat. Don't go and create anything. And now I'm
What will do with you? What will do with you? Please
start हो गया ना टॉपिक.
नहीं sir. We want to explain.
अरे वन भी नहीं खत्म हुआ.
बैठो. What is it? तुरंत निकल रहा है. वो देखो कितना अच्छी चीज है. That you have to tell the department. Hey, Avi, boy, you want me to teach World War II?
Yes, sir.
Bio department को बोल दो. फिर मैं बताऊँ. Thank you.